asked me to be here today. Of course, I met her at one of the events out in Mansfield, doing for the culinary challenges, and we've had an incredible relationship since then. You know, talking via Facebook, and yeah, she is a fan of Ben Barber. She's a fan of Ben Barber, but that's only because she loves you guys, right? Something that I've learned a long time ago is that, you know, success leaves clues, right? And so it's important that, you know, you follow people that have been successful, and that's how you become an elite team. So my name is Andre Blaskin, originally from Louisville, Kentucky. So if you know anything about Louisville, Kentucky, you know, these are...
We actually lived in Owensboro.
Ah,
she
nice.
And I were like, oh yeah, okay.
Nice. So, you know, it's horse racing, hot browns, and bourbon, right? It's got some of the best water, if not the best water, in the country. And you can look that up. It's scientific. That's why there's
no
95.
Water's good, by God.
Yeah. You if you ever go to Kentucky, you just drink the water straight tap now. Straight tap. And you go anywhere else, it'll be like, wow, okay, there is a distinct difference. But I came to Texas somewhere during the 90s with the University of Houston for hotel and restaurant management. That's where I started, 27 years in the industry. Then I went to culinary school for Le Cordon Bleu and graduated from there. And so my career in the restaurant industry has been since I was a teen. My first job was working at a place called the Ye Olde Sandwich Shop in a mall in my hometown, baking bread. So, and from there, learning to bake fresh bread is how I transitioned to continue in the industry. Started on the management side first, and then became a chef. I have to admit, I enjoy being a chef much more. I am a people person. I love people. But being in the front of the house with people, I got burnt out. Coming to the back of the house is great because I just get to deal with the 5, 10, 15, 20 people that's in the back of the house. And every once in a while I get to pop out and say, hey, chef, you know, how did you like my dish? So in that journey, I've had an opportunity to do a lot of great things. I've traveled all over the country. I've been able to cook in so many different, you know, foreign countries. It's just been an amazing ride. And when I met Chef Taylor, I've been with Ben Barber 5 years now. And me and Chef Rob over there have been great friends, and he's been trying to build up this team for 9 years to get to Pro Star. Started culinary, just hadn't been able to do it. If y'all know anything about Dr. Jean Burton High School, you know, they were the national champions in 2019. So one of our goals was to beat them, right? Because they were the national champions for everything coming out of Texas. And so we said, we know what, if anything, we're always going to do our best to bring this back to Texas, right? Because, I mean, you know, I grew up in Kentucky and I love Kentucky, but Texas is awesome. And as you travel, you will see that Texas is awesome. I mean, we have everything here, right? We don't really have to leave the state. We can go far north as we need to. We can go skiing. We can go far south, and we can go to the beach and everything in between, right? So in building up this team with Ben Barber, because we have, it's a large school district in Mansfield, right? So you guys actually have an advantage because you guys know each other, right? You guys get a chance to grow up with each other, probably live in the same neighborhoods, go to school, been going to school together for years. You know, you have a chance to build a camaraderie with one another that we have to take all year to build, because we have kids from 5 different high schools that compete in these teams. Like that first place national team, it was 6 days of practice after school, them coming from different high schools to our innovation center to practice on this 6 days a week. They made that sacrifice. And all 5 of them that was on the number 1 team, they all go to different high schools. They did not know each other before they started this journey in hopping into this. And you guys have that advantage of, you guys are friends, hopefully, right? You guys have been together for some time, and you get a chance to build some camaraderie, you know, outside of just coming to school, right? And some of the keys to success that you have to have in it, especially in the culinary field, because food is incredible. 100% of people eat, right? There's not anybody on the planet that doesn't eat something. It may not be the best, but 100% of people eat. And you get to be the future change agents for how we eat in the future, right? Because at some point, I'm not going to be cooking anymore. I'm coming to your restaurants, your hotels, your cafes, your food trucks, your barbecue places, because frankly, you know, I'm going to stop cooking at some point, right? As much as I love it. But you have an incredible opportunity here because Texas, even though, you know, Chef Taylor talks about, you know, resources, Texas is a resource cow. You can find it everywhere. There's a reason why most people in California are moving to Texas, right? Y'all know anything about California, it's extremely expensive to live there, unfortunately. But here in Texas, what you guys have is we have a love of food here. We love to do everything big. So you have some advantages working together. I have 4 simple keys that I'm going to talk to you about today. And I didn't bring a slide presentation because I'm going to open this more up for questions, right? I know it's the morning time, you know, having to look at the screen of all kind of pictures and things like that. You guys tired of looking at your blue screens yet on your phones? No? It makes you tired, just so you know. Sometimes you got to put your phone down, just to let you know. It's scientifically proven. You can Google it. It's not just me telling you this, right? So there's 4 key disciplines that you would need. And if you want to write this down, I'm going to encourage you to do it. Text it to yourself. Put it in your notes. One of the first ones is discipline, right? Discipline is the key element that you need for anything that you do in life, right? Some simple disciplines that you probably already do is bathe, right? I'm assuming everybody bathes. Anybody take a shower this morning? I did. All right. Whoever didn't take a shower this morning, move over to the left, right? So, it's those small disciplines that lead up to the great disciplines that you need to be successful. Some of the things that I teach people, because I coach and counsel corporate execs, in not just in the food space, but in any space. Right now, one of my big contracts is with a cybersecurity company. And one of the things that they have missed, they were having some gaps in between their management and their staff in being successful. And so what I told them was, it's like, you know, what is missing? I said, it's not the leadership, it's the mindset that's missing. It's people that's not disciplined enough to fight for the success that they need, right? Simple disciplines, brushing your teeth, right? You brush your teeth twice a day, you'll have less cavities. Of course, you got to cut back on a lot of the candy, different things like that. And body makeup is totally different. But it's a simple discipline. Bathing, simple discipline, right? Drinking enough water in a day. Water is the elixir of life. I'm telling you. You may love your Cokes, you may love your coffee, you know, you may love all the other beverages, but your body's 70% of that. You want to function at an optimal level. Drink what you need to stay hydrated. It makes your brain work better. It keeps you from falling asleep. Right? It helps you to build. And these are simple things, because my tagline is health and wealth is the future of my people. And who are my people? You are. Right? I know y'all see me up here. It's this black guy coming here to talk to a predominantly white class. And how are you my people? Because there's only one race, and it's human. And you have to truly understand that. Because the way that they put it together is, you know, they call it a race, right? When you think of a race, what do you think? It's a competition, right? I've got to beat you to the end. I've got to be first. No, it's not a competition. It's a marathon. It's a work together, right? We're not competing against each other. We're completing each other. And that's what you have to do as a team. Have that discipline. Get up earlier than you need to, right? I live 2 hours away from you guys. I literally left at 7:45 this morning, so I would at least be here 15 minutes early in case anything happened. Most people wouldn't do that. They would have got here right on time. They'd have been rushing. No, take that time to be disciplined enough. When you get up in the morning, however you do your morning routine, whether you get up and pray, whether you get up and check your phone, whether you get up and go straight to the bathroom, take a little bit of time for yourself, right? When you get up in the morning, don't immediately hop out of the bed and get into your routine. Take some time to be thankful for you. It's a discipline, right? Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself. We deal with a lot of depression. We deal with a lot of negative issues. You know, as you know, I went to high school, and you know, we had bullies in high school, and now you guys have bullies and cyber bullies, right? I thought that was the craziest thing. You guys deal with a lot, especially because of technology. And when you get up in the morning, you got to remind yourself that you love you. Because there's only one person that controls your life, it's you. You may think it's your teachers and your parents and everything else that goes around. But the decisions that you make now are the decisions you're going to have to live with for the next 40, 50 years. Why not start loving yourself in the beginning? It's a discipline. I literally get up in the morning, I go to my mirror, and I look at myself, and I tell me that I love me. Every morning. Every morning. And it changes your entire perspective for the day. Because sometimes you don't wake up happy. Sometimes you wake up not feeling good. Sometimes you go to sleep with things from the previous day that keep you from resting well because you're still thinking about it. You don't shut your mind off. You know, a lot of people are like that. Let me give you a tip to help you with that. 45 minutes before you go to bed, the last thing that you're doing in that last 45 minutes is going to be what you're going to wake up to. So if you're looking at your phone and you're looking at Instagram, right? I'm loving Instagram Reels. I am an Instagram Reel fan, okay? I have to stop 45 minutes before I go to bed because I know first thing I'm going to do, wake up in the morning, I'm not going to look at my calendar. I'm not going to hit my alarm clock. I'm going to pick up and look at 20 Reels. And it'll be 30 minutes there, and like, oh, I got to get up and be in a meeting. What am I doing? So I put my phone down and I shut it off. And I talk to me. That's a discipline. See, the power of the subconscious mind is incredible. It doesn't know the difference between good and bad. It only knows what you put in it. So if you constantly say to yourself, I'm not the best, your mind is going to be like, okay, well, I'm not the best. I'm unimportant. Life's not important. I'm not cared about. I'm not loved. And I'm telling you this because I'm a father of 5. I have all adult children now. Woo! But I raised 4 girls and 1 son. So I know they were in that transition era of just getting into cell phones, right? Where I grew up with no cell phones, even though I love my cell phone now, right? They dealt with some things that I would have never thought about in high school, especially cyberbullying. When I first heard it, I was like, somebody bullying you online? You can't see them or touch them, and they don't do anything to you at school. They only talk bad about you. That sounds like media, right? It sounds like you're reading the newspaper or something. And it bothers you. And I had to think about it. I was like, you know what? This is a different society, right? I said, if it bothers them, I shouldn't downplay it. And neither should you about yourself. Speak positively in the discipline about yourself. It goes way past cooking. It goes way past making, getting ribbons and winning first place. I know for us, I was excited. My kids were devastated that they got 4th place. She talks about us with, winning first in management and 4th in that. If you'd have saw my group's face, we spent a counseling session once we were done. So you realize...
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, not that it was bad. This was our first year competing in ProStart, and I want you to take this back to them. This was our first year competing in ProStart. Mm-hmm. And we had some kids who were new. They were freshmen. They were scared. And I came out of it fully expecting to get last place. Mm-hmm. And we got 26th out of 27. And I told them, I was like, that is the proudest 26th place I have ever gotten. Mm-hmm. I am so proud of them because they did something that for 4 years I went and judged. I went and volunteered because I was afraid to get out of that box. I was afraid of the ProStart competition. So the fact that those kids went and did something that I was afraid of for 4 years as an adult, they have every right to be proud of the fact that they got 26th place.
That's right.
And your team got 4th out of 50 states.
Right.
They have every right to be proud of that.
Yeah. For me, it was amazing, because, going back to the discipline, we had a lot of adversity that people didn't know about. We had one girl when we first started that completely quit. She just quit. She just said, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Had another girl that was original on the team that she tore her meniscus. and was going to be out for 8 weeks. She couldn't even stand on it. So it was like, okay, we can't use her in the kitchen. We took one of our students from the management team over to the culinary side, right? Because management team can cook too, but the culinary practice is cooking. Brought him over to that side. We literally had 6 weeks to prepare for state with 2 new people. And I told them, I said, I prepare months in advance when I compete. I competed in World Food Champion, Texas Super Chef. I've had an opportunity to compete in a lot of different competitions. And we prepare quite a bit. We have time. We only had 6 weeks to go up against 29 teams in Texas. We have the biggest Pro Start program in Texas. No other state, not even California, has as many Pro Start competitions as we do. So imagine having 6 weeks to get prepared with 2 new teammates to change the dish, to understand the dish, to make the flavors correct, to go compete against 29 teams in Texas, just to go compete against 50 in nationals. That takes a lot of work and dedication. It's 9 years worth of work. We did not do this overnight. We were even hurt when they shut it down for COVID, because it was like 2 years and we didn't get to take the culinary team in 2019. Gene Burton went and won, and we had our feelings a certain way, right? And I told him, I said, it's not a loss, it's a lesson that we've got to get better, and we've got to choose to get better. And it comes with your discipline. You guys can do it. You can do it. I want you guys to go look up worldfoodchampionships.com. Can they use their phones?
Yeah, go ahead.
Worldfoodchampionships.com. There's a young man that I had a brief time to be able to mentor by the name of Preston Wynn.
We actually know him.
So you know Preston?
She does, and then a couple of my other barbecue team kids, she should. He was at the barbecue competition at Mansfield last year.
Ah, okay.
If you look at his Instagram page, there's a picture of him, and I was like...
Yes. So I got an opportunity to mentor him for a brief period of time, him and his parents, right? This young man was 18 at the time, went to Dallas Community College, right? El Centro. No, Dallas Community College for the culinary program. I'm also a judge for qualifiers for the World Food Championships. I judged his dish, and I told him in October of 2021, I said, you keep putting out dishes like this, you'll win the World Food Championship. I said, just follow my simple instructions, you'll win the World Food Championship. Because this is a #1 dish. He's 18. He's still in culinary school. This past weekend, he was at the Tournament of Champions in the top 10. The top 10 best chefs in the world. Because at the World Food Championships, there's about 400 teams. And there's about at least 40 states and about 15 countries that are represented against this. So we're not talking about, just a couple of people right here around the state of Texas. We're talking about worldwide. 18. He just won the World Food Championships, and they cut him a $100,000 check.
Y'all, he graduated high school last year.
Mm-hmm. Last year he graduated high school. He hasn't even finished his culinary degree. He still goes to school now because he wants to finish his degree. I told him, I said, man, you just won your college money, buddy. Him and his parents. You have the capacity to do it. He wasn't on a great culinary team before this. He wasn't on, in high school where they were winning all these championships and things like that. He'd been cooking for a while. His family loves food. But he had the discipline enough to know that he had to keep getting better. You got to have the discipline enough to step outside of your comfort zone and learn something that you don't know. To go to new places, you got to learn new faces. You got to get better. The next of the 4 points is knowledge. Knowledge is only powerful, now I don't ever want to step on my teacher's toes, if it's applied. I know how to do calculus. I haven't had to do it for 25 years now. Is that really power? No. Now when somebody asks me to do some calculus, it becomes power when I do it. It'll probably take me a little time because I really don't want to do it. But apply the knowledge that you have. You have the power inside you for the success that you're looking for. It's all in your mind. You have to believe it. That's where it starts. Everybody ever heard of the word persistent? You know, persistency equals faith. It's a belief system. People talk about, yeah, you got to be persistent. Well, you got to believe that. Many of you are going to go on. Some of you may stay in the culinary field. Some of you may go off into different things. Good friend of mine, he's starting in culinary, and now he's a doctor of food science, right? He doesn't cook anymore. He does, you know, the molecular side of food now, right? One of the first doctors that was in culinary that I've ever known that was actually, you know, in food science, right? He applied his knowledge to become that kind of successful. And you guys have it. I mean, Chef Taylor, her energy alone, combined energy, can take you to a lot of places. I teach my team that all the time. I said, the cooking, the food, the plates and everything, that's what you call work. That's the easy part, if you believe it or not. It's believing and seeing it in your mind. So I'm gonna give you guys a challenge of knowing yourself. Anybody use their Google Calendar or iPhone calendar to keep up with your keep up with your itinerary, things you gotta do, stuff like that? All right, so I'm gonna suggest if you don't do it, because you're going to need it as life goes on. Trust me. Because the more things that you can take off your mind, the more knowledge you can put in it. It's kind of like when you buy new stuff and you're like, I don't have anywhere to put this new stuff, and you got to get rid of something old. Or you just put it on top of something old. If you get rid of the old stuff, you can get more new stuff. That's how knowledge works, right? I'm going to task y'all for the next 30 days. I want you to pick a time 30 minutes after you wake up in the morning, no matter what time you wake up. Put this in your calendar, set a reminder for it to go off. I want you to write, I am the best, and then put whatever you're the best at. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm the best person to tie my shoes. I'm the best daughter. I'm the best son. I'm the best friend. I'm the best culinarian. Mine, when I wake up in the morning, I am the best motivational speaker and mindset coach, or something better. That's what I tell myself every day.
You're doing pretty good. You're keeping their attention.
And even if I bomb on stage, nobody pays attention, I get no head nods. You know what? That does not change that I'm the best. Now, to the world, I might not be number one. Number one is like, you know, Tony Robbins, and Eric Thomas, and Zig Ziglar, rest his soul. But the more that I tell myself, the more that I believe it, and it becomes attainable. And you have to do that for you in all things. I encourage you. And if you look at it every morning, I promise you, if you take this test for 30 days, you will see a miraculous change in your own personal thought process. You'll start feeling a lot better about yourself. And you won't really know why. You're not going to do anything different but say that little affirmation in the morning. I am the best at knowledge of self. Tell yourself you love you. I am the best at it. And it doesn't matter. Played football. I was a little short to make it to the NFL. I got as far as semi-pro football. Played some incredible years. Had a great time doing it. But then I didn't believe in myself to do it because after college, you know, I took probably about 10 years off. I didn't go back into semi-pro until I was in my mid-30s. And everybody told me it was crazy because if you know anything about sports, you know, the first 5 to 10 years of professional ball, you're pretty much an old man. When you hit 30, 31, 32, you're old. And they were like, why are you going to bring your old self in here? Not in those words, right? I can think of some other colorful words that they said to me when I got on the team with a bunch of, you know, 20 to 25s. And I got an opportunity to go to a Texas All-Star game. Our team won second in our division, and we got in that division we did bowl games. You know, we lost in the bowl game, but man, I had a 5-year career with 3 All-Star games, and nobody even considered that I would even make it that far. Knowledge of self. I am the best. The next one is consistency. Everybody in here cooks, right? So y'all understand what consistency is, right? You know your sauce has to be a certain consistency. It has to do with the viscosity of that sauce to make it stay on the plate, to make it a demi-glace, right? Or to make it an au jus. It has to be a certain consistency. You apply the same consistency to you in your life. The best way to learn is by repetition. So if you struggle with something, it's only because it's new or you haven't done it over and over enough for it to become muscle memory. Think back to when you were, I don't know, we'll say 3. Most people can remember back to 3 and 4. When your mom was teaching you to brush your teeth, your dad, grandma was teaching you to brush your teeth. And it was a hard thing trying to hold it and move it up and down and bring it back and forth. Made no sense of it. But you don't think about that 10 years later. Because now it's just second nature. You do it. Some of us, like me, about the electric one. Got real lazy. Just press a button and it does it for me. Right? But you forget about those powerful milestones that you had in consistency. When you think about the great things that you've done in your life, right? You think about those big, huge moments of success that you may have had when you won first place, or you won a science fair, or you won something, you know, in the culinary space, or you won a poetry contest, right? But you don't ever think about the small successes that happen that are really the big wins. When's the last time you thought about or congratulating yourself for passing first grade? You laugh, right? But think about the milestone, because if you didn't pass first grade, would you be here right now? You probably remember 5th or 6th grade graduation. I grew up where, you know, 5th grade was the end of elementary school, and then you went to middle school for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then high school, right? You remember probably 5th grade or 6th grade graduation. It's like, oh yeah, it was a great time. Everybody was happy. You get all dressed up. Probably remember 8th grade before you went to high school. And when you get to your senior year, you're going to remember graduating from high school. But you don't appreciate the fact that you passed 2nd grade. Just imagine if you'd have failed. Think about the difference between the two. Your parents congratulated you for passing 1st grade and 2nd grade. Probably got a cake, maybe got to take them out, you know, pat on the back. But if you'd have failed, and unfortunately, most parents are like this. I was guilty myself. If you'd have failed, you'd have heard about it all year. And you know your parents better than I do. You'd have heard about it all year. Now you got to do the 1st grade again. You didn't even pass the 1st grade. It's just giant pencils and coloring. Stay in the lines. As opposed to being congratulated for passing the 1st grade all year. You didn't hear that all the time. It's going to be the same thing when you graduate high school. You're probably going to hear it for the first few months. But then after that, they're going to be like, okay, when you graduate in college. Oh, but blessed let you not pass the 12th grade, or you have to do any kind of summer school. You're going to hear about it. That's when you have to tell yourself and be consistent in saying, I am the best. Because failures are just lessons. And if you talk to any successful businessman that's in the industry, from Mark Cuban to Elon Musk, they all failed their way to success. All their businesses weren't profitable. All of them didn't work out. If you know anything about Mark Cuban's story, see, I'm a Mavericks fan, right? If you know anything about Mark Cuban's story, y'all know what happened to him in college when he opened his first business, right? So he opened his first business. He's in college, not understanding the rules and the laws and the things that are happening, right? Opens up his first business, and it's a bar club type atmosphere, right? Catering to college students who weren't old enough to drink. Okay? Y'all can see where this story is going. He's selling alcohol to minors. Just because he didn't know the law and didn't understand. had to go through some lawsuits, lost the entire business, right? But look at him now. Billionaire, Shark Tank, owns the Mavericks. He's had a lot more failures in there. How many of y'all know that Mark Cuban is a tech billionaire? Anybody knew that? See, knowledge is power when it's applied. Mark Cuban started his businesses on the tech side during the dot-com bust in the late 90s, early 2000s. And what he did was revolutionize the radio industry by bringing regional sports to areas out of the region. I don't know if none of y'all are going to remember this, but when I was a kid, you can only listen to whatever was in your region, right? I grew up in Kentucky, so I'm going to use the NFL. I grew up in Kentucky, so I got a lot of Cincinnati Bengals games, a lot of Cleveland Brown games, a lot of Indianapolis Colts games, because they didn't have the Tennessee team when I was growing up, because that was regional. I didn't get to see San Francisco and Dallas play. I wasn't a Dallas fan, but I didn't get to see them play in San Francisco and Dallas. It wasn't in my region. Whatever ABC, NBC, CBS would put on is what we watched. Same thing for college. University of Louisville, big school. University of Kentucky, big school. That's what we got regionally. I didn't even really hear about Texas unless I read it in the paper. I knew Texas was big and everything was bigger in Texas, but I didn't know anything about it unless I read it in the paper or saw it on like CNN, right? About how big football was here.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban, that's right. Mark Cuban took an idea of, I want to be able to, the people that say went to the University of Wisconsin, that moved to Florida, to be able to, because you couldn't even get it through cable during that time. And there was no internet to Google it to watch it. So, you know, you guys are so privileged. You want to find it, you can just Google it. It'll pop up somewhere. You can find some kind of link, some kind of backlink, something you got to sign up for to download. You can find something if you want to watch something way away. We didn't have that option. He created a platform that gave people out of the region the ability to listen to and watch college games from their hometown or whatever region they came from, all 10. I would say he was one of the revolutionizers for us to have the ability to watch things outside of our region. And y'all just think of him as a basketball billionaire. But he had that money before he bought the Mavericks. The Mavericks was worth $940 million when he bought it. Knowledge. Know yourself. Know yourself. Consistency. Consistency is going to breed the success that you want to have in anything you do. Last point. And then we're going to open it up for questions and we're going to talk a little bit. Will and skill. Of course, you know, I told you that I am from Louisville, Kentucky. So, anybody ever heard of Muhammad Ali? I think that is completely awesome because he was boxing before I was born. He's been passed away for quite some years. But you know him, he's arguably considered to be the greatest athlete in this common era. We call him the GOAT. Everybody know what the GOAT means, right? Greatest of all time? Okay, cool. Right, we got some sports people in here. We're like, what is it called? It buys. No. Right? He overcame a lot of adversity. And he has a saying that I like to go by. And it's in reference to sports. He says, you can have all the skill in the world, but it doesn't change until you will yourself into the position. He described it like this. When I work out, my workout doesn't start until I feel the pain. I have the skill to do a sit-up. I have the skill to do push-ups. I have the skill to do jumping jacks and jump rope. But when it starts hurting, which is going to happen to you in life, when it starts hurting, do you have the will to push through it? Do you have the will to continue those reps? He would say, I probably do, 60 sit-ups. He said, my workout didn't start until I got to 61st sit-up because that's when it started hurting. Because that's when you got to push yourself beyond your limits. We live in an unlimited society. We're arguably in the greatest country history has ever known. The opportunities are endless. I was reading something today. Even the poorest of Americans are in the top 10 of the wealthiest in the world. The only excuse that we have is us. What you think about all day is what you become. Remember, your mind doesn't know the difference between happy and unhappy, only what you tell it. Negative or positive, only what you tell it. If you continue to think negatively, guess what's going to happen? Negative things are going to happen to you. You continue to think positively, positive things will happen to you. And you'll get a little bit of both in each sector. You may think negative a whole bunch of times, and then you get something positive, like, you guys aren't old enough, but you go buy a lottery ticket for $1 and you win 2. Right? Got my $1 back and I made another one. But then you have a negative thought, oh man, maybe I should have bought 2 lottery tickets. No! Be positive and happy for the win. Because you guys are those change agents for the future. I get an opportunity to speak to high schools pretty regularly here lately. And the one thing that I would tell you, especially when I think about my younger self in high school, listening to people that came to talk to me, to motivate, to push forward, and do all these different things, I'll be like, oh, they don't understand my plight. I do. I grew up in the inner city. And in the inner city, where I grew up is pretty much all the stereotypes that you see with black youth. We had a lot of crime, murder, theft. We didn't have the best schools. My high school had 1,700 kids in it. My graduating class was 101. I want you to put that in perspective. When I got there as a freshman, we had the biggest freshman class at that high school ever, 750 kids. Freshman class. Only 101 of us graduated. I was coming out of school in the 10th grade. A young man was shot and killed on our front steps as we were leaving school because of a fight that happened the day before. He won the fight. Somebody didn't like it. He came up there and shot him. I myself, shortly after seeing that, went a little bit off the deep end, did some things that was unfavorable, and spent a year in juvenile detention. Missed my entire 10th grade year. The entire 10th grade year. I don't care what anybody tells you about jail. Jail on a youth level is probably not much different than as adults. It was not a fun ride. Ten years old, my mom died in a car accident. She got hit. Rainy day. Wasn't one of my proudest moments. My father picked me up from school. Some days I struggle with whether it was a blessing or a curse because I saw it happen. It was devastating. And my father never confirmed it until the sheriff pulled up to our house and said, this is what happened. 10. But all of that was lessons to lead me to where I am now. Had that not have happened, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be walking in my purpose. I probably wouldn't be standing here with you guys. I love my mom to life. I probably would have still been stuck living in the hood, in unfavorable conditions, because that's where my mama lived, and I loved my mama, and I was going to do what my mama said. But there was a bigger picture. And see, you guys have a bigger picture. You have a bigger opportunity. See, the city that you currently live in, some of you are going to be prosperous here in this city and give back like you need to. Some of you are going to travel abroad and be prosperous in wherever place that you call home. Because it's not about where you're born, it's about where you're at. Can you make a difference where you're at? And the skills that you learn here now, I mean, stuff that you learn in the kitchen, man, it's going to apply to everything that you do. Every knife skill, every sauce that you make, when you learn the mother sauces, when you come across other chefs. We are a tight-knit, worldwide organization. My kids could not believe how many chefs I knew when we went to D.C. I tell them, I say, because we talk, we communicate. That's how we keep staff. Who you got moving to Texas? I need a sous chef. Oh, you coming up to D.C., you bring your team? Some of my kids got offered jobs. My kids kind of looked at them like, we live in Texas, though. Like, we're still in high school. You know, I was like, I don't know if we're coming to D.C. or Seattle or these other places right now. Can we graduate first? Right? I was kind of like, oh, yeah, I mean, they do have a point. I mean, I appreciate the in-kind offer, but can we let them start on their dreams before you just throw them into the workforce? But you have to have the will. And you can will it with your subconscious mind. Trust me when I tell you, it doesn't know the difference between positive and negative. I'll say that over and over again. There's anything I can stress to you. Your subconscious mind controls your conscious mind. Conscious mind is what's looking at me right now. Conscious mind is what you're thinking about right now. The conscious mind is like, oh my God, I wish this guy would finish off. The conscious mind, oh my God, this is great stuff. Conscious mind is, I think I'm going to take a nap. See? Laughter. But your subconscious mind is telling yourself, I'm not worth it. And some of y'all deal with it. You may not want to admit it. You may not want to raise your hand and tell everybody, but you deal with it. I'm not worth it. I'm not the best. I don't have the best conditions. Some of it can be told to you over your life. And then some of you in here are extremely positive. You hop up out of bed every morning and say, you know, good morning, gorgeous. I don't know if y'all, you know, I listen to Mary J. Blige. Good morning, gorgeous. Right? It's a song that she has when you wake up in the morning.
Oh, I got a smile from him over there. He's always trying to put Mary J. Blige on my TV.
You know? And some of you are kind of in that middle. You can will yourself to any success that you want to have. Do not let yourself be limited because of your situation, your surroundings, or your environment. Don't let it. Doesn't matter how much money your parents make, you can make more. Doesn't matter how much money your parents don't make, you can make more. It doesn't matter what your parents don't give you now, you can get it on your own. There's an article out in Entrepreneur Magazine about the top 10 youth business entrepreneurs, right? The youngest one is 7, and she's worth $3.3 million making TikTok videos.
Oh, I thought you were saying like they're selling the kid. I was like,
no, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. That is so awesome. You know, it made me have to go back and rephrase the way that I say that. But these kids are entrepreneurs. And if I remember correctly, all she does is open toys and travel. She makes $3.3 million on TikTok. 7.
I've heard about her. I think.
Well,
I saw it,
7.
I was thinking about it.
7. She's worth $3.3 million. She motivates me to get up in the morning. I'm like, I don't make $3.3 million. I've been in this game, 40 plus years now. She's been in the game 7 years. She's just now getting into the first grade. She's already retired. Right? But then there was the number 1 grossing kid in there was worth a little over $67 million for an app design.
A kid designed it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like how old?
They're 14 now. I believe he started developing the app at like 11.
Okay.
You know, but it's coding, right? You can take a class on coding, and you guys have a much younger mind than us that are older, right? Like for real. Like you can probably take a coding class in 6 months and start developing apps, and you can sell an app and be extremely successful. Any of y'all remember MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
MySpace probably would have been when y'all were probably like 5 or 6, right? Everybody thought he was crazy for selling MySpace. He sold MySpace for $157 million. I wouldn't consider that crazy. Facebook took over. If you're gonna buy it, why not sell it to the highest bidder, right? You know, he was like, hey, I can't compete with that. You know, what was the guy's name on MySpace? I always looked behind you. He was always the one that would help you. I can't remember his name. But in that farm, these kids willed themselves to do it. They acquired the skill, the knowledge, the consistency, and discipline to do it. You guys want to become a championship team? Follow those 4 principles. Has nothing to do with money. Has nothing to do with emotion. You can control your emotion. You can control your word. Has nothing to do with emotion. It has everything to do with your work ethic. Thank you guys. Any questions? You can ask questions all abroad because I didn't talk much about food today. I didn't come here to talk about food.